Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here at Plano Senior High School. We're sitting here with Head Principal Sarah Watkins, and we're sitting in the Plano Senior High School Memorial Garden, a very solemn place, a place where it is used to memorialize some of the very special people here at Plano Senior High School, or folks that have had an impact on Plano Senior High School. We're also here to discuss what's coming up on October 28th, which is going to be a very great event in Plano ISD history, and that is a hope that we're able to pink out the stadium when the Plano Wildcats face the Plano East Panthers in their rival game, a rivalry that's been going on since 1981. However, that game carries far more symbolism than just a rivalry between two schools here in the Plano Independent School District. It carries a symbol of unity fighting against a disease, a cancer known as breast cancer, one that we hope to eradicate one day so that we can come to a wall like this and not have to offer any more placards up in the hopes that we can eliminate the disease called breast cancer. With me again this morning is Head Principal Sarah Watkins. First, Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Happy to do it.
Early this morning.
Yes.
We've gotten you outside early this morning.
That's all right. It's a good place to be.
It is. Sarah, we are here memorializing these fine people behind us, and some of them impacted by the disease called breast cancer.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about the Memorial Garden here and who has it impacted locally here in our neighborhood?
You know, the Memorial Garden was created by our Student Congress a number of years ago because there are so many people who've passed through these halls and who've left this world, but they've left an impact on our campus and on the Wildcat Nation. And so they wanted to do something to honor those people. In addition to just honoring anyone, though, there are several who are faculty members, some of whom passed away due to the complications resulting from breast cancer. You know, teaching is a predominantly female profession, and so I think that that's one of the reasons why we feel so directly connected and touched by breast cancer, is that it's really hard to work in a school and not know someone who has had to face that affliction, and certainly that's been true here.
Sarah, we talked before, of course, today,
Yeah.
and we've discussed the fact that, you know, it's hit kind of close to home. Tell us some personal stories that you might be able to share with us,
I'd
how
be happy to.
breast cancer and the impacts of that have impacted not only the folks here at Plano Senior High, but Sarah Watkins, the individual.
Absolutely. You know, over the years, as I said, we've seen a number of faculty members struggle with the disease. I'm happy to say that we have some great successes. Marcy Rowe, who actually was the head sponsor of Student Congress for many, many years, just retired last year. A number of years ago, she had to deal with breast cancer, and she's doing great. Peggy Mitchell, who was one of our math teachers, same thing. She, you know, dealt with it a couple of times actually, and she's doing great. But we've also said goodbye to some of our Wildcat friends. Most recently, Sheila Kolb, science teacher here and ACDEC sponsor extraordinaire, just a really phenomenal spirit on this campus, passed away just last spring. She actually taught here all the way through last fall and decided to retire as she struggled one more time with the disease, and then she passed away in the spring. I guess most close to me was a member of the English department when I taught here, although I knew her for many, many years. She was the head of the department at Clark when I was the head of the English department at Williams. So we'd known each other since the 80s. And Billy Hannafy was first diagnosed with breast cancer, I believe, in about 1993, 92, somewhere in there. May have even been earlier than that. She passed away in 1999 after dealing with it, I think, about 3 times. And Billy, in some ways, charted the history of breast cancer because initially she had a mastectomy, but then as episodes recurred, she was able to take advantage of some of the newer drugs that have come about, really, I think, as a result of all of the research that's been done, thanks to many of the different activities that people contribute to in order to raise money for breast cancer. So, you know, I think that we all feel a need to do that, and we're proud to do that because it has touched us so closely, but we also see great results from that research. And I think, too, I could be wrong, but I think that research in cancer helps any kind of cancer, and one of the one of my greatest mentors is also up on the wall, Betty Mission Dunbar, who was an English teacher here and then the coordinator for English for the district as a whole. She passed away actually from brain cancer, but I think that, like I said, research in cancer is good for that whole area of research, and so I think it's wonderful that our kids are contributing by putting together this pink out.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the kids for a moment. Does breast cancer only impact folks over 50?
No, not at all. In fact, I think we're always shocked, but some of the most jarring stories are those who are young mothers or they aren't even married yet. And actually, I keep saying women, but it afflicts men as well, and it afflicts all ages and both genders. And so it really, it's indiscriminate. It's biology. It's not something that you've done to bring it on. It just can happen. And, the good news is there are so many techniques for early detection, for treatment, that the sooner, it needs to be a part of a regular routine, health routine, to just be aware of it and check for it all the time.
Now, of course, we know you're not a doctor.
Right.
You're like a doctor to all these children.
Well, I'm
of course.
a mom.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, what are some suggestions you could make to some of the young women here on your campus and on other high school campuses to help prevent the disease and create early detection?
Well, I think, the self-check is one of the most important things to do. And of course, you can find all kinds of information on the web so that you can make sure you're doing that right, but that should be a daily routine. And so if they can do that now and be aware of it, then if they notice a change, then they will know quickly to get into their doctor and let their doctor take it from there.
Should, kids have different feelings, different emotions. You know that better than anybody. Should young men or young women be embarrassed about discussing this or going to their parents or their doctors?
Well, no, they shouldn't be. Are they? Maybe. I think the more we talk about it and the more we acknowledge that it's just a part of life that can happen, the more comfortable everybody is with it. And so I appreciate, pieces like this, getting it out there and, get it in front of the public, because it's a good way to remind people that it's not something to be embarrassed about.
And let's talk about that for a moment. What are we doing on October the 28th?
Well, we've got a little football game.
We do.
It goes back many, many years. It's a wonderful tradition. And, I like to think that the Cats and the Wolves and the Panthers, we're all good friends except for one day out of the year. And then our rivalry kicks in pretty intensely. And so but we're coming together in that rivalry, as you said so nicely at the beginning of this piece, to not only kind of wrangle with each other, but wrangle with something together that I think we all hate, which is breast cancer, and do something to advocate for supporting the research of breast cancer and prevention and doing the things we need to do to eradicate this ravaging disease.
Principal Watkins, I know you're very, very busy, so I've got just one more question for you. How can people in this community get involved with the fight on October the 28th?
I know that our drill teams have been selling shirts, and part of the proceeds, I think you're going to hear about this, goes to breast cancer research. Just come out to the game and be a part of that festivity. I think there'll be a number of other things going on out there that gives you an opportunity to support it. Of course, here in Plano, we have the Susan G. Komen Foundation and the big walk and run in the spring. They just had the one in Dallas, but we have our own out here, and I love it that a lot of groups around town come together to participate in that activity, because a large part of that money also goes to research.
Now, are you wearing one of the T-shirts that we're going to be wearing out there that night?
It is.
So they can pick that T-shirt up either with the drill team here and I believe the cheerleading sponsor at Plano East. Is that right?
I think that's correct, yes.
Now, can they call the front office, or should they send an email? How should they go about contacting either school to get one of those fashionable T-shirts?
If they would send an email to anybody here on campus, just about. Lindsay Plackey is our sponsor here on campus, and she can take that information. You can find her contact information on our website, or you can contact the front office, and then they can forward that information on to Lindsay to get that information. And then over at Plano East, I'm not sure who that sponsor is, but I'm sure you can contact her directly as well.
Well, Ms. Watkins, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was really nice of you to
Pleasure
share those
talking to
touching
you.
stories with us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Sarah Watkins, the head principal of the Plano Senior High School Wildcats, or Wildcat Nation, sharing with us some of the ways that breast cancer and the effects of breast cancer not only impact us on what we see on television, but impact us here in our local neighborhoods. Come on out and join us on October 28th and help celebrate not only the big rivalry between Plano East and Plano Senior High School, but also the big rivalry that we have with fighting and eradicating breast cancer.
Like a sound you hear that lingers in your ear, but you can't forget from sundown